welcome. Over the Top Podcast. It's your boy HD with the Over the Top Podcast crew in the building. Let's start out see who we got tonight. Hey, Toya, how are you?
I'm good. Why you lately? You've been starting with me, yo. I'm trying
Lady,
to. I feel like because I'm not ready. You trying to catch me off guard. I'm good though. What up though?
I mean, we know we're trying to be ladies first. You know, they say chivalry is
Ah,
dead, so we're gonna go with ladies first. Playmaker, what's the deal, man?
Hey man, I'm good. You get your Trumps yet?
Yo, who?
the
The
Trump,
sn-
the
No,
sneaker.
no, I ain't messing with it. I ain't messing with it. You get a
Ron
pair?
looking like what?
yeah,
You get a
they
pair?
said they're designed for us. They got us in mind.
Did you see the video I sent you?
Yeah. Are they comfortable? Really? Really?
Right. The brother
Man,
had them on and was like, "Oh, these comfortable. These joints is high."
What are y'all talking about?
The Trump sneakers.
them
Oh,
old
Jesus.
trumpet.
They got a black boy on there in the video talking about something. These joints is hot. They comfortable. Then what are we doing?
I don't know. All right, Jay, what's the deal, man? How you doing, man?
Hey, man, trying to stay sane in this political season. This election cycle is going to be really volatile. So we need to strap up and be ready.
It's gonna be very interesting. I have an interesting take. It's gonna be very interesting this year. I'm waiting to see it. Hey guys, to all the fans, and guys, thanks for supporting us over the top podcast WDJY 99.1 FM on our Facebook page. Also, you can find where you find your podcast on Spotify, iHeart, our Acast production. So we're trying to do a lot of different things, man, so we can be more accessible to you guys, and if you can't make it every Wednesday with us. But I'm glad you have making it with us on Wednesdays and continue to make it with us. If you find it valuable, please tell a friend, bring a friend. There's whatever support we can do with this movement, it'll be greatly appreciative. But so with that in mind, we'll continue on. Ask Tori what we have on deck tonight.
So, dear Toya, I know how you feel about Beyonce. Yes. But since we are ending Black History Month, let's talk about it. She just became the first African American woman, uh, female to have the number one song for country music. Why is this bothering people so much? And by people, you know who I mean. Not trying to ruffle any feathers, just want y'all's opinion. Signed, the hip hop guru.
Well, that rubber some feathers. Ron, what's your thoughts, man? We ain't got to coddle people. What's your thoughts?
Hey, man, listen. When you start doing music, you do music for the thought process of as many people as possible to hear your music and your create. And so the thought process that she would do with country music is not as much. And when I say mainstream music, I mean like singing, performing is not like hip hop. It's not like thrash music. Those music have a specifically identified demographic that they speaking to. Beyonce has a larger demographic in the sense that she's going to get some of those country music people, but she's also going to get some of these young teen boppers to listen to things that they typically wouldn't necessarily listen to. So I give her credit for expanding her borders and being willing to do something different. Would I have done it? No. But hey, more power to her.
Playmaker.
This reminds me of the incident they had in Charlottesville a couple of years ago, where they were chanting that they were not going to be replaced. And I think that's kind of what it boils down to. I mean, there are a lot of African Americans in country music. So, this is not the first person who's ever crossed over to country music or helped originate, if you really want to get to the meat of it. But I think that's just an example of that. You have some pockets of people who think country is reserved for a certain demographic, and by seeing someone outside that demographic with the star power that she has to come through and get the number one hit, makes people feel a little bit uncomfortable, like they may be replaced, similar to football, basketball,
Everything. Everything.
so that's my thoughts.
It's almost like you've been told your whole life that you're better than something, but then when you realize that, oh shit, no, I'm not better than you in football. No, I'm not better than you in basketball. Not country music. I'm not better than country music either. No, sir. But our country music was originated from this origin of African American descent. I applaud. I applaud Beyonce for showing her range and her growth in music. Ray Charles did the same thing. He was, in his genre of music. I don't know what you call that, rhythm and blues at that time. Then he switched and did a country music. He said country music was the soul of music. So it's gonna. I think that's probably one of the reasons they want to hide history. Because someone felt like, damn, we can't do nothing better than the people who we thought that were less than us. So I don't know. But I think I give her kudos and I give her credit for switching over and crossing over to another audience. So continue to reinvent yourself. So that's my thoughts. What about you, T?
First of all, I hate Beyonce, but this is not her first country song. Even in Ask Toya, he said, I know how you feel about Beyonce. I do not like Beyonce. It's just not for me. But this is not her first country song. She did country song on another album. Also, because it's Black History Month, let's talk about the history. The banjo originated in Africa and was brought over on slave ships. And then we taught you how to play it. We've taught you how to sing. We've taught you how to arrange music. The fiddle. Yeah, we had fiddlers. In Roots, you saw there was even a slave named Fiddler. Stop sweating us. We are the greatest. I just want you to know some history. It's tiresome. Congratulations to her for becoming the first African American woman on the #1, in country music. She is, she can do anything. She breaks, the internet every time. For that, I applaud her. I don't hate her. I just don't like her music. It's just not for me. But she ain't no Jill Scott. She ain't.
That's an Aries thing.
No, she's not. I mean, we don't want to.
Your wife knows how I feel about Beyonce too.
She don't like him either. I don't know why
It's just not for me though. That's all. She's an amazing entertainer in the sense of being an entertainer. She's an amazing entertainer.
So with your birthday coming up, you ain't gonna be playing. You wouldn't have the DJ play. What's that joint that they play? That they dance.
No.
They dance too. God, man, that joint like that too. I like it.
Get information.
No, he talking about something. We getting tonight. No, I'm not.
Oh yeah. Not that one. No. Not that one. Not that one. Not. No, it was before that.
Single ladies.
It don't matter.
Single ladies.
It wasn't single ladies. It wasn't single ladies. It's the joint. It's the real party type track. It's a real party type. Man, my man Snoop birthday, people went off. Oh my God, they danced forever.
Now, because I know real house music. How about that? All night long.
Not all night, please. Not all night.
Don't play with me. Don't play. Look at me. Y'all going to get me upset. Now, look, I'm giving the woman her kudos and giving her props. But yes, know your histories. Stop coming out your mouth with why we can't. It's just like the video that was like, what is up with because at the NBA All-Star game, they sang the Black National Anthem. They sang it at the Super Bowl too. What's up with why is there a Black National Anthem? If there was just a white national anthem, that would be racist. No, the entire national anthem is a white net. It's racist. That's why there's a Black national anthem. I hate it here sometimes that I have to talk about this stuff. But this is why. And Beyonce, kudos to her. She's doing a great job.
She is. But there's the notion of you had so surprised about how I mean, if any other artist could have did a country music, they she R&B artists, they probably went #1 too. So I mean,
I tell y'all all the time the things that are said to me about my kids. Oh, they're so articulate. All I hear is, "Do you want to be my maid?" Hills no. That is
not
literally
many.
how the others act whenever they're surprised that we do something amazing.
I know, isn't that weird?
Go ahead.
We can't walk into
You wanted to
the.
say something.
Go ahead, Gary. Playmaker, anybody?
I was just going to say that, there's the other side of this. Just imagine with Beyonce's following, how many people who may not normally listen to country music may be open to listening to, a couple of songs, and it may even help build up their industry a little bit more. So instead of them focusing on the negative aspect, if you want to call that a negative aspect, she could be help growing that genre even more.
I like country music, actually. I love bluegrass. I do. Because bluegrass was created by us. But there's a black bluegrass band, the Carolina whatchamacallits, I can't remember the name off the top of. They're amazing. I love country music. Just because Beyonce doing it don't make it, Jesus.
I mean, we can be more. We can like more than one genre of music. We can watch
Yes.
this hip hop and
We listen
jazz.
to opera,
I think
classic.
we don't even really realize that Charlie Pride was a regular at the Grand Ole Opry.
Yes.
So we've had people venture into those realms. I just think it's
Barry,
interesting. And that song that I was thinking about, guys, is "Give Me Body" by Beyonce. That joint like that.
Shoot, I like Dolly Parton 9 to 5.
I like Dolly Parton. Okay, so it's the Carolina Chocolate Drops. That's the bluegrass group. It's a black bluegrass. They are amazing in what they do. So
bluegrass, I gotta have a taste for bluegrass.
We are a very open genre family of music. We
supposed to be. It's supposed to be.
I
think black folks is so. I think our music spreads all across all genres. So that's just my opinion.
But once again, the hip hop guru, who is one of our favorites. Thank you
hip hop guru. Appreciate you.
We appreciate you. If anybody else has an Ask Toya question, you reach me at AskToya, TOIA74@gmail.com, or Ask Toya on Facebook.
Good stuff. So we're gonna jump right into it, guys. African Americans continue to be disproportionately impacted by the criminal justice system. In Los Angeles County, African Americans are 8% of the population, but represent 30% of the county jail population. The rate of incarceration of African Americans in state prisons is nearly 5 times the rate of white Americans. This is according to the Citizen Project, which is an organization promote a fair, humane response to crime that minimizes imprisonment and criminalizes youth and adults. So we're gonna jump right into questions, man. Hey, Playmaker, I'm gonna come with you with this one. We're analyzing the numbers. They're analyzing this. What numbers stand out to you as far as in the criminal justice system?
To be honest, they don't really stand out. And the reason why I say they don't stand out, we saw this when we talked about the crack epidemic, how the numbers were for crack cocaine versus powder cocaine. We saw with Reconstruction how they put Black people in jail because they needed that labor. So these numbers just kind of just tie into what we've been seeing throughout the history of since we've been here. So nothing really jumps out.
All right, no problem. Well, we'll continue. RJ, I'm coming with you. Do you believe that Black people are committing more crimes at this rate, or is there another reason we get more getting put in prison more?
Man, this could be a really long answer, but I'm gonna put it in this context. There are a lot of things that are systemically done to create the need for there to be. Let me back up. There are a lot of things that it's been systemically done to put us in this position or the situation. You look at the mass incarceration, the aspects of mass incarceration, and where it comes from. It distinctly comes from the breakdown of the family. Now, when I talk about things, I talk about it from the context of this methodology that I learned in psychology. And in that methodology, you have what they call internal pressure and you have external pressure. The internal pressure is that pressure that's a part of the dynamic that is surrounding that particular person. External pressure are external circumstances or situations. Dang, I blinked out that you cannot control. So when you, I'm sorry, guys. So when you go through those situations and circumstances, those external forces are very impactful in our community, like redlining, um, poor schools, things of that nature, because the tax base in most of these communities that you see these kids who struggle in is very low. So if that tax base is low, educational access is going to be low in terms of school resources and things of that nature and tools to help these kids better themselves. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that self-fulfilling prophecy is a direct correlation with that family system. If you take that man out of the home and you transition into the space where it's just a female presence, or if you have a single parent home, you take a significant amount of resources out. And what really creates these problems that to me lead to a level of criminality is not the fact that people are more prone to do something, it's a lack of resources. And anytime you lack something, then you'll tend to want what other people have. And so what you see firmly entrenched is a mentality over a period of time that becomes this poverty-based mentality. If I see you shining and you got it and I ain't got it, you ain't gonna have it long because I'm coming to get it. And I done seen that look in people's eyes, and that's universal. That's here, that's Africa, that's anywhere around the world. So when you have people that are disadvantaged, there is going to be a way that they set that balance. Now, this is going to be way out there, and some people are going to say I'm crazy when I'm saying that. That's why they want to do population control. Because if we identified aspects of the fact that, hey, man, y'all got all these things that we ain't got, now society is unfair. Hey, man, we coming today going to get everything you got. That's the problem. That's what they don't want to see.
Definitely valid points. Toya, you have anything we want to add to that, or you respond as you can. But I'm also go with you with this one. Do you think our communities are being targeted or over policed? Is that a reason that the numbers are so high in our criminal justice system?
We are always targeted. When you compare the numbers between how the disparities, I should say, of how often more we are arrested compared to our counterparts are, you see that we're targeted. Even in certain statistics where you're asking white people how they rate certain things and Black people how they rate, we rate everything, even on a rating of how we're rating police in our community. They're not getting a higher rating. White people are giving a higher rating on police conduct than we're giving. We're giving out lower ratings on police conduct, if that makes sense. Like, we're not giving good reports. They're giving out good reports. We're being policed at a higher rate, and they're not. This, even when we're pulled over, and it might be for something simple, the fact that we get extremely nervous for no reason whatsoever shows you that the policing in our communities or the policing of us in other communities is at a higher rate. And yes, we are targeted. So I would say both.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Playmaker, I'm jumping off script a little bit because I never am reading script, but I think we can take. I'm trying to dive a little deeper, put the onion back a little bit further, see if we can dive what's going on. So I read it was an article today that said that 70% of people that's incarcerated do not read above the fourth grade level. I know I'm throwing it out at you, but in your opinion, well, how important is it for the educate and the reading of the children at a younger age, so they don't get caught up in the system or getting over policing and get caught up in the criminal justice system?
I think we talked a little bit about that a couple of episodes back. We were talking about the school to prison pipeline. when they identified children as, I can't remember, as early as maybe the second or
Third
third
grade,
grade,
third
Mhm.
grade testing.
and they figure out how many prisons they're going to have to build in the future because of that. I think all of that is kind of related, and also what Ron mentioned earlier when you talk about resources. If a kid is not reading at a certain level, it's going to be hard for them to find employment and work. And if they can't find employment and work, and if they got to do something in order to try to eat. So I think I do think that has a lot to do with education, has a lot to do with some of the struggles that we sometimes see with some of the under disadvantaged areas.
But is that,
Okay. Go ahead, Toy.
I want to say that's also somewhat of a design too, when we think about it, is that we're not really focusing on the education of our kids. And like you said, that's where the high school to prison pipeline goes. But we need to do better with making sure that in our schools, and even when our kids are in other schools, that their education is a priority as our counterparts do for their kids.
And one of the things that I still find amazing to this day is that you see on the news a parent doesn't realize that their child has been pushed or passed into higher grades of education without being able to read. Some people are graduating and still can't read it, and the parents are like, "Oh wow, I sent them to school every day. I did my part," and but assuming that they were getting an education. And it amazes me to see that it's such a disconnect between what the kid is actually learning and and what the parents may think the kid is actually learning.
It's like
So,
that case.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's like that case where the senior in high school has to go all the way back and repeat because he failed a 27 classes. But well,
So
here's
who
the
held
thing. And
responsible
his
for
mother
that?
was like, "What? Well, you don't know your child is failing." But here's the thing: why'd you push him through?
Robert, no, but I say what happened
They
to
don't
the
generally in
teacher's
high school though.
responsibility? Huh?
They don't generally in high school though, guys. That's the real problem. Like what really effectively happens, especially here in North Carolina, when I've seen these, if they done that whole No Child Left Behind whole deal with you up until middle school, you get to high school, they shut you down, and they essentially shut you down by effectively, essentially failing you. And then if you pass, you're gonna pass based on doing modules, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're fully literate. You'll sit in a classroom and they'll put you in a situation where you'll make up the work. And making up the work is not necessarily as comprehensive as learning the work the first time from the teacher. So you're doing basically like some little bogus test taking type stuff, and they back through.
That they'll
If
pass
at
you through.
all.
I think what the teacher said is in South Carolina stated that they can only fail and they only fail a small amount of children each year. So now you're getting your children passed through, and they're not even learning how to read. You getting graduates, getting diplomas. They can't read past the fourth or fifth grade level. So I don't know, but I want to touch on it because I know we didn't really dive on that as the link to incarceration, but I think that's a major link to incarcerations. Not being able to read, not being able to read the fine print, not being able to know when someone is stalking. So I thought that was a major point that I wanted to kind of bring out um, that I didn't bring out, but I didn't want to do that. But so nationally, one I think I would that go with us. No, one out of eight African American adults in the United States is serving time in state prison. 7 states, including California, maintain a black and white disparity higher than 9-1. The incarceration rates for Latinos individuals in state prisons is at a 1.3 times the incarceration rate as whites. Not only African Americans are more likely than white Americans to be arrested. Once arrested, they're more likely to be convicted, and once convicted, they're more likely to spend a lengthy prison sentence. Not only the African Americans are more likely than whites to be arrested. I think I went over that.
Mhm.
G, I'm gonna go with you with this. What is the economic impact to families when black males go to prison?
Uh, there's a lot of impacts. You said the economic impact. So when you think about it, you have a population of people who could be building wealth for the next generation. They could be working, putting money back into our community. So there's a huge impact. You have people who now no longer have an extra provider to help provide for them within the home. So I think there's a huge impact when you remove those people out of society and don't give them the ability to work and earn a living to support the community.
What are the impacts you seeing that there's a major impact on the family unit outside of economics? I mentioned economics. What are the impacts you see that's happening to our community?
Well, if you go outside of economics, I mean, we talked about protecting Black women. If you don't have Black men there to help protect Black women, how does that work? If you don't have fathers to teach sons how to become men, how does that work? If you don't have so I think there's a lot of just impacts within the family unit from just those two angles I just mentioned.
Okay, good stuff. All right, Jay, I'm gonna come with you with this one. What's your opinion or what's your thoughts on the disparities that we do find in the court system? Longer sentences for minorities other than our white counterparts. What do you contribute that to, or how do you get around? How we get
Resources,
around? Hmm?
resources, resources. Hey man, listen. I had this class in high school called social justice, and in that class, a gentleman by the name of Robert Hoderney, who was a close to middle age male. Man, I can understand him so much better than that. Um, he really taught us about social justice and taught us about enlightening us about aspects of like how life is lived, right? And the importance of having compassion for people, right? And so what it effectively made me do is look at the other side of things. Like you conversely look at something and you see it and you think, okay, yeah, this is what worked. What he showed us was that the criminal justice system in and of itself was stacked against people the majority of the time. And a lot of the people that were placed on death row and in dubious circumstances in relationship to sentencing was a direct result of the fact that they couldn't hire good legal representation. Legal representation separates the ability to hire good lawyers separates the difference between the do's and the don'ts. It's kind of like what we're dealing with in that Trump case. Trump had the ability to hire lawyers and private investigators to really search out holes or poke holes in the story of Ms. Willis. They were able to functionally go out and seek out some things. Most people don't have the ability to do what you would call adversarial research or some form of thing like that. So when you start talking about people going to prison, it's a direct correlation with resources and an inability to hire good lawyers. And I'm gonna say something out, and I learned this from Marcus Cox. Marcus Cox, shout out to Marcus Cox. He said, "Man, Ron," he said, "Man, what I started to realize," he said, "a lot of the dudes that I seen, the reason why they got out of trouble and the reason why they were able to secure a better future is they did some of the same stuff we did. Their parents just had the liquidity to get them out of it.
Mm,
It's just that simple. It's
good
finance."
stuff.
Again, that's
Good stuff.
designed too.
Right, right. So I'm gonna stay with you with this one. So what effect what's the effect on the black woman seeing, especially in relationships and marriage, seeing these seeing black men go to jail at a longer rate than prison time? What kind of effect that have on black women as a whole?
Well, it's like some of the things that Gary said. It's designed to break up the black family. If you're raising sons, then where's the male role model to guide them? So now you have women guiding men, and now we're seeing what we're seeing now. And as you know, I won't go into that, but and women guiding. You have single mothers raising children on their own, doing everything on their own. And then, like Gary said too, there's who's protecting if all of our men are in jail. And at the same time, who are we protecting if all of our men are in jail? How do we keep them out? How do we, what do we have to do? There's so many effects. There's a mental health, emotional, spiritual, relationship effects. It's a lot of effects that happen to Black women when their men go to jail, especially for long periods of time. Are we waiting for them while they lock down? I'm gonna tell you why. But
should you wait? Is that asking too much? The wait?
No, I've never been in that situation, so it's not for me to say. And I literally, like, I've never been in that situation, but in my mind, I'm like, lockdown for 20, 25 years. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
It's I got a friend of mine that's kind of going through that same process right now. Her significant other made some bad choices. And just listening to her, she really is like brought into the process of trying to help him be a better person and the whole essentially doing time with it. And I respect it for it, but a lot of other women couldn't necessarily or may not necessarily do it. And this young lady's a person of means and resource. So she's able to facilitate some of the things in a different way than some people may be able to.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that she's doing it is big time to me.
But I don't want to say this. There are a lot of women who do hold brothers down, who have been locked down. And there were, as the statistics grew within the 70s, the 60s, and the 70s and the 80s, especially like we said during the crack epidemic, being locked up for just, a vow, 20 years or ounce of weed. You know what I'm saying? So there are a lot of sisters who have held men down the whole time that they're in jail. My main thing is that once you go in, and if you go in, and a lot of young people now are talking about this, when you go in at a young age and you're not really a criminal, if you get arrested for something simple, and then you're put into an environment that you're not used to, a lot of young men come out of prison, are conditioned in a certain way that they wouldn't have been conditioned if they had been given a specific chance. So a lot of white kids went to jail and they had options in Florida. It was like this for some Black kids too. You either go to college or you go to the military, and that was your option. I don't know if they still do those options for juveniles or about to be 18, but I think they should, because that's giving them a chance to be disciplined in a different way.
Correct. Go ahead, Playmaker.
I was just going to go back to when you were talking about the economics, and one of the things that when Toya was talking made me think about it is a lot of times you hear people talk about two income families in order to make it nowadays. Well, if there's only one person to be part of that two income, that's a disadvantage right there.
Yeah, that struggle is real.
Definitely. So in the United States, the habitual offender laws, commonly known as the three strike rule, has been implemented since at least 1952 and are a part of the United States Justice Department anti-theft strategies. These laws require a person who's convicted of an offense and who has one or two other previous serious convictions to serve mandatory life prison sentences. What's the impact do you feel the three strike rule had on the community?
I think I got a little bit mixed about this one, because I understood what they were trying to say. Hey, you mess up one time, we're going to give you, two additional times to kind of get it right before something happens. So I understood conceptually what it was. But then when you pull back the covers of it and you say, okay, well, you still haven't addressed my basic need. If I am looking for food and I don't have means to get food, what am I supposed to do? I get one strike, okay, I get that strike, but I still haven't addressed my underlying need or issue. So what motivation is there to prevent from getting that second or third strike? So I understood it being a scare tactic, but it never really addressed the underlying issue that was facing a lot of different people in the community.
The
Hey,
resources.
you know what? I wanted to add a little something to what Gary just said. When I worked at the detention center years ago, it was these two brothers that came in there. The older brother was a little different. I think he might have been somewhat on the spectrum, but I also think he was malnourished in the sense that, man, he probably during the time when he was born and up until the time he grew into being a young man, 15 years old, was not fed, dealt with in a appropriate way. His brother was younger than him, maybe about 3 or 4 years, but he was a little bit more swift. They was breaking in people's houses to eat. They was literally breaking in people's houses to eat. And when you think about something like that, it's so hard to conceptualize how impacted some of these children are in our community, man. They were breaking in and eating people food. Man, when we were at the detention center, our food was all right, but it was old folks' home food. And
Right.
man, they would sit there and eat that like it was the best meal in the world. And so we got to realize that there's a significant disparity in some of these places. And as one of my friends always says, Haywood Cloud, I'm gonna shout them out today. Some people shouldn't have to. Everybody don't need to be having sex.
Hmm.
If you ain't got no money, you don't need to have no sex. You can
Yeah.
take care of no
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah.
Look, I feel like you should get a license just to be able to procreate. We got licenses for everything else because of these disparities. And that's not to say take away from children because children are a gift. But like you said, when you think about that, they were breaking into houses because they couldn't eat. And this is one thing I tell the girls all the time as to what they have and what other kids have. Some kids go to school just to eat and be someplace
Yeah.
warm all day. There are a lot of kids here in this city that the bus picks up at the shelter. And in
Definitely.
knowing that you have something that these kids don't have, be appreciative of what you have because a lot of these kids go to school just to eat. And a lot of you see, I was having a conversation with my friend who is an administrator in PG County schools. A 6-year-old pulled a knife, threatened to kill his brother, and then threatened to stab her last week. It was a rough week. Um, and the paperwork that you have to go through and everything that you have, but just de-escalating situations like that because these kids are so angry and so mad. And I know, like we're talking about, what do we do in the community to protect
Right.
and keep our kids and our men and even our women because Black women are the highest percentage of women in jail too. And there's a lot of Black women having babies in jail. And
So what do we do? Is so I mean we look at especially we look at our boys and you're right too. We have a lot of Black girls that's going down the wrong path. But what and I'm going with you either run or you playmaker, either one can answer. But what do you think is the role what of Black men to do to protect our young people? I mean, what is our role? Do we need to go be more hands on in not just in our children, but children we see? Do have we forgot take a village to raise a child? What is our role as Black men to to get our youth back into the fold? What do you think, Ron?
You know what's different about like coaching now versus coaching maybe 5 to 7 years ago? The kids are focused on what they like and not what's right. And so you have to get their buy-in and them to like you for them to even receive what it is you're saying, because they can know that what you're telling them could possibly work, but they don't necessarily want to see it in that light. And what's crazy today, I'm telling you, And that boy got him, and he got a daddy, and his daddy brought him out there to me and was right behind me for a while I was coaching him. And then I told him, I said, son, you need to work in. You need to work in. I want you to work in. When that turn comes, you move in, you step in, you don't. Now, if it was something where he had to fight, he probably would have stepped up or something like that, right? But this joker was standing over. I said, man, run a lap. This mother, you ain't telling him what to do. I'm like, look, hey man, let me coach the kid. Let me coach the kid. I coach with her the child's father too. Hey, you stay over there. Let me do what I do with him. You understand what I'm saying? We have to afford the men and the women that volunteer their time to put their fingerprints on our children in ways that we can't. That's why it's important to have a village, because I can't be everything to my children that they need, nor can any one of us. We all need somebody, because there's pivotal points in your life that people give you knowledge that didn't come in-house.
That part.
And that's what make us great, well-rounded human beings.
That's right.
So,
Playmaker, what's your? Oh, go ahead, Ron. Let me cut you.
no,
Go ahead.
I'm good.
What's your thoughts on that, Playmaker?
Yeah, I'm just going to echo some of the same things that Ron said, and then I would also just add to that is that there's more than just one aspect of helping and supporting our community. There's the aspect of mentorship, which Ron was kind of alluding to from the coaching aspects. But then there's even, and always go back to this. There's the aspect of supporting your community when you go into the ballot box. Who are you putting in positions to make these laws? So you talk about the 3 strikes. You talk about the during the crack epidemic, how all these different laws. Who are we putting in place? Because our kids are not able to vote for those people, so they're dependent on our generation to kind of help make those decisions for how they're going to be protected and taught in school, how they're going to be protected and policed in the streets. We have to kind of help and help with those decisions through our voting. We need to be more active in just all aspects of the community, and not just leave it to a few people to kind of be the face of the communities through mentorship and coaching, but just help in all aspects.
What's your thoughts on that, Miss Toy?
I agree with everybody said. I think just giving back to that mentorship means a lot. Even if you have kids that don't want to listen, you're giving of your time and of yourself because you want these kids to grow to be better men and women. And so at some point, like Ron said, there's always some point. For me, it was high school, college, professors and teachers, coaches that are to this day are still a part of my village, are still a part of my family, especially growing up in a town where there wasn't a whole bunch of us. Those Black teachers that we did have, and those Black coaches, and those just coaches in general that we did have, imprinted so much on my life that we still talk to this day. Still important people in my life. And that's what you want your children to have. You want them to have something where they can look back and say, well, if I hadn't listened to Dr. Battle, I'd still be that uppity bougie Negro.
Hey, I want to touch on something too. Toya, people work in a really well, resource area. There are a lot of people that have a significant amount of resources in that community, probably more than most African Americans throughout the United States, right? I think it's actually top 10 in terms of Black wealth, right?
Yeah, it is, but she's not in a she never teaches in a, she's
no.
very
I'm about to hit a point though. And
okay.
This is the disparity that I'm touching. In that same larger county, the #1 producing school in the state was an African American school.
Mm-hmm.
In the same county, So what's the difference between that school and that school? Now, the person we talking about broke it down a little bit different. Like when I was in school, they had something called gifted and talented. They called it something a little different now, but the thought process is if that school, which is the model, can do that, then why are we having some of the behaviors at the school that particular person was? And why aren't we universally having that across that area? And that's directly related to economics and resources.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And I'm tying that into the criminal justice system again. The reason why, and I kind of we kind of got off strip, but that's fine. But I mean, I'm glad we are really dived into it from the youth aspect because that's where it begins. Most of your criminals start when they're in their youth and get that record and get that. Then now you got a small little misdemeanor this time, but then now you're 18, you give something a little bigger and that lays on you. So I'm glad the conversation kind of went into, as far as dealing with more of the youth. Because I think that if we can nibble at the bud, I think we'll be better off at the end. Hey man, great show, man. I know we're a little early, but we're gonna go around and give a little bit our last words. Playmaker, what's your last thoughts for tonight? You're on mute, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm still big on, supporting the community. So my thing is, if you know of a Black business that is doing well, tell a friend. Share that information with them. Let's try to support our Black businesses, not just for the Black History Month, but for the whole year.
Good stuff. Ron, we got a little time, but Ron, what's your last thoughts of the evening?
Man, I seen his thing on my Facebook page feed, and the brother's gone home to be with the ancestors. I have a lot of respect for him, brother Charles. I think it's Charles Hayes or Charles Mays.
Mm-hmm.
I love that brother's political activeness. Um, his sense of devotion to the truth and drawing a line in the sand to ensure that people got what they deserve relative to it being their rights, and making sure that the house that he worked in was in order. And though he couldn't fight all of those things because he had but one vote, I think he did a great job of standing on the wall and being a watchman on the wall and helping for our community. So shout out to that brother, and may he rest in peace.
Good stuff. T, what's your last thoughts of the evening?
So Friday we went on a field trip to the Belk Theater where they did it's a Black History thing. North Carolina A&T's choir and a jazz ensemble. The Revisiting History, that's what it was called. So it was Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King, and Barack Obama. And it was an amazing show. My problem was it's Black History Month. Why all the Black schools were sitting in the balcony and all the good white schools down on the floor? But also when we were talking about oh God, my brain just went blank. To see how intrigued. So the school in front of us actually was, I think it was one of the country days here in Charlotte. And I'm thinking it was Providence Country Day. Our kids were talking to them. This was a music and arts production for the kids. So it was mostly band and jazz ensemble kids. But to see how intrigued and how involved those white students were, and to see how antsy some of our students were, kind of, click something in me. But once we got back on the bus with our students, they were just in awe. The conversation was wonderful. Show your kids the arts. Put some type of arts in front of them, whether it be dance, music. My girls play 3 instruments each: piano, violin, Zora's playing trumpet, and they both play electric guitar. introduce your kids to the arts, even if it's just regular art, artists and things. Just expand their mind. There are a lot of things in the city. And so my Black business or Black support thing is the Harvey B. Gantt Center, Uptown Charlotte. Every Wednesday night, they have it is free to get in. And also the Mint Museum, it's free to get in. But Harvey Gantt has some wonderful expeditions. So it's just something that you can walk around and take your kid to on those free nights or free days, especially in the summer. They have a couple of free days. So just expose your children to the arts and see how their mind expands. It is a wonderful thing. The conversation these kids had on a bus and listening to them and the things that they learned in the conversations of Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Martin, Rosa Parks, was different than what they learned in school. And even Barack Obama. It was really, really good. So I just think we should expand our children's thoughts.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, first of all, let me say this: I'm not endorsing no political candidate, nor am I endorsing no political party. I'm gonna say it again: I'm not endorsing no political candidate or talking or endorsing no political party. But when I'm lost, I'm lost. I'm lost, family. I'm lost. When do we have a gentleman who's winning the presidential election for the party, who's has been indicted 99 times, who owe $500 billion, who cannot do business in a certain state for 3 years? However, he is whipping the pants off of everybody who we see. If this was Barack Obama, he'd be thirsted off the ballot. If this was anybody normal, we you talking about almost he's not a convicted felon, but and I'm not talking about you like him or not. I don't want to get into that. He could be anybody. If he was Joe Blow, look at the criminal activity and look at the man, and I don't understand why there's a separate. I don't understand why we don't vote or we vote against our best interest sometimes to please the masses. I don't know. But take voting seriously. Please do your research on vote. It just astounds me that you got a man who been banned from doing business in the state end up running the state and the country and got his hands on the nukes. I mean, love him or hate him. I mean, and it's not a racial thing because if it was Jerome up there and he don't grab somebody by the crotch and he got a RICO case down in Atlanta, he got a hush money case over here. Hey, dude, you doing too much, and you run for president. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Are we really the smartest country in the world?
Are we?
And on that note, guys, thanks for tuning in. And like always, may your next move be the game changer. Peace.